So Goodnight Tender, you say, is your country album.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Do you feel, where do you think you obviously don't think you fit in mainstream country radio?
I mean, I don't have anything against mainstream country. I mean, I wouldn't mind, fitting in on that but I wouldn't be able to, I would never fit in
You got to
there.
rap now. You got to rap.
I know, you got to do hip hop.
Rap.
You got to co-op, yeah. I think, for mainstream country radio, I don't have, my production is very old school. It's very much more geared towards, it's just not layered in the same way or produced in the same way. There's no way just sonically it would fit in, and I'm not polished enough. Yeah. And then politically, I think there's still some, I'm 50, I'm gay, I'm left wing. It's that's not gonna, I don't think that's gonna happen on mainstream country radio.
Probably not.
It won't even happen on mainstream rock radio. So
I think your new record has, the first thing I thought of was Rod Stewart. They're in the Mandolin Wind and Gasoline Alley.
Oh yeah,
days.
Era. Yeah.
There's more of an acoustic feel to it, and kind of wide open and lots of air, I guess, is how we would say it.
There is air in there.
Lots of air in it. So that's kind of how I felt about Goodnight Tender.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of space in it. We recorded the whole thing live. There were overdubs here and there, but not many, and it was just like a band getting together. We had 7 days in the studio. One kind of central core band, and then another little sort of a side band that did a few songs. So there's a lot of space because we didn't have a lot of. We just sort of did it and did a few overdubs and did some harmonies and stuff.
Best way.
But it's definitely was influenced by older style country recording and even folk recording. Older style. So I had been doing more punk rock kind of records solo before that, and I just sort of had for about 10 years had this vision of doing a record like this and saving up the songs for it and stuff. Kind of the flip side of the punk coin, I guess,
right.
In a way.
Yeah.
From a whiskey swamp and a vagabond clan, with a tune in her bucket and her head held high, and a book about her grandpa flying the skies. She said, man, it ain't never gonna be the same, and I'll give him a chance, but no one can play like Dwayne. And it was back in the fall of '71. Dwayne met a flatbed coming home, with a song in the charts and his Harley flying through the air. Now he was just hitting his stride when the angels wept. They said, man, it ain't never gonna be the same, and no, we'll give him a chance, but no one can play like Dwayne.
old stuff.
You got to Emory, and prior though of coming to Nashville, you and Emily were already playing.
Yeah, we were playing in high school in Atlanta, and then she went to Tulane ahead of me. She was a year ahead of me, and we just kept in touch and kept playing on weekends and stuff. And then I went to Vandy, and then we both transferred back to Emory, and kind of made the decisions independently of each other. Actually, even though we were playing and stuff, we didn't really talk a lot about that sort of aspect of our life. So we ended up in Atlanta, and we just kept doing it. And then in '85, that was sort of the year that we put out a little single and started like writing more songs and really focusing on trying to become like more like geared towards original music.
Were you, as you were playing in '80 and then on through, were you seeing yourself as a certain? Were you influenced by anybody in particular?
When we started, we were playing James Taylor songs and Elton John and Joni Mitchell, and we'd throw in some Elvis Costello, and we really liked him when he came out, and we tried to mix it up a little bit, but we were very much just, it was like this, Jackson Browne, like the Eagles, songwriters of just like the Taco Bar set, where you play a certain Please Come to Boston, all those songs, everybody still plays them.
Everybody can sing along to them too.
And so I think, but then we both started discovering, I think, getting our, footing more, and I definitely listened to a lot of more rock and southern rock and classic rock, and Emily was listening to a lot of R&B, and then I kind of got into punk rock, and so it was, expanded our horizons a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think there's you guys were boxed into the folk music scene, not boxed, you were probably happy to be there, but sort of. Do you feel like there's a resurgence of folk these days? Maybe not so much with a political stance, but as it was back in the day.
Yeah, it's interesting. The folk thing's interesting because when we first started, we would try to play in folk clubs, and I mean, believe it or not, it was kind of in between a time. So folk had been, I think, pretty political when we were younger. And then by the time we were in college, there was this moment in time where I feel like the political sort of folk bands were sort of being relegated, the 80s, to more of the punk clubs, actually.
Right.
And so that's where the folk singer-songwriter benefits for different causes would go to the kind of post-punk rock clubs, and because they were accepted more there. And it was hard to be gay in the strict kind of folk scene as well. I mean, we tried to play like singer-songwriter clubs that were like really folk clubs where you didn't even plug your guitar in. You had to mic everything, and you couldn't be too loud, and we really it didn't work for us. Our crowd was pretty rowdy, and we were like college kids and playing all along the Watchtower and, ripping it up in the solos.
Sure.
And it was just different from what they were experiencing, something different, and also they weren't experiencing as much of a political force in some of those clubs. And then it started shifting, and I think Ani DeFranco really actually spearheaded a lot of that, bringing it back around to people understanding how important Woody Guthrie had been, and and Bruce Springsteen too. And I think people sort of started rediscovering that sort of political folk and taking that hint. And then now I think, I don't know, music's all over the map now. I do think acoustic music has a resurgence, obviously. I mean, you can tell, from the radio and everything.
It's almost sort of a hippie sort of vibe, too, with bands that have a lot of members in it and a lot of singing in unison and, lots of acoustic stuff.
Lots of singing in unison. It's true.
Lots
it's
of
like
reverb.
A thing. Yeah. I like it. I mean, I like a lot of the new, I love a lot of the new music that's out there, so.
I do, too.
Yeah.
So more stuff from you and Emily someday?
Yeah, we're working. We're heading into the studio in oh God, it's coming up a few weeks.
Oh, good.
And we're working really hard to get all the songs arranged. We've got a lot of songs, and we're just trying to weed through them and figure out which ones we want to do.
Great.
And we've got about 6 of them arranged. It takes us a while.
Can I have both of you back someday?
Of course.
All right.
Yeah.
Amy-ray.com is your website.
Yep.
And Goodnight Tender's available on iTunes?
Everywhere.
Everywhere you go.
Everywhere. Yep.
Thank you so much. It's
Thanks,
an honor
Eldon.
to be sitting here with you.
Thank you. Great show.